Welcome back, watch fans. We're talking about making money with watches. Actually, yeah, we are talking about making money with watches. We are discussing the 10 commandments of watch collecting, right? What do you need to do? What are the rules you need to follow to have a successful watch collection that makes you money, that you can be proud of, that, will give you spiritual enlightenment? Yeah, that's right. Unbelievable but true. So rule number 2, that's right. Rule number 2 is you got to buy right. Price is, well, not everything, but you do have to buy right when it comes to watches. And people hear that term. What does that mean, buy right? Well, here's what it means, my friends. It means you can't chase hype. You can't chase hype. You got to buy watches at the ground floor. And what does that mean? You got to buy stuff that nobody wants right now. So you gotta have discipline. You can't be a tomato can in a window liquor that follows the crowd, right? Because if you follow the crowd, you're gonna buy the hype watches. You're gonna get burned. Like, for example, look at this watch. By the way, on the wrist is the Rolex Yachtmaster 40. Yeah, I think I made a couple of videos already here, and yeah, that's right. I only wear one watch whilst hiking. Yeah, so sorry, I don't have any more watch changes. But this is actually a very good example. So look. Buying right. So I think the retail price of this watch was like 13 grand or something, 13.5, right, at the time that I bought it. And, I wasn't going to pay the retail price. I bought it from a gray market dealer at a discount. I think I paid 11.5 or something. 11.5. I probably could have gotten it for a touch less if I had acted a bit earlier with it from another place. But hey, that's what happens. You snooze, you lose, right? But I did pay somewhere around 11 grand or something, 11.5. And you know what happened? Nobody wanted this watch back then. This is like 2020. That's right, 2020. 2020. Nobody wanted these watches. These were kind of out of favor. The Yachtmaster 40 charcoal dial. And then all of a sudden, a lot of weird things happened during COVID. So it might be an outlier, but yeah. So all of a sudden, the tomato cans started going crazy for this watch. Why? I don't know why. I think because other watches were harder to get. Because in theory, a lot of the window liquors, they don't like two-tone. The window liquors don't like two-tone. The cognoscenti, the aristocrats, understand two-tone, right? So I bought this watch specifically for the charcoal dial with the rose gold. Could I have gotten the steel with the blue dial? Yeah, and that is actually the way to go with this watch, which, by the way, at that time was like 9,500. And again, nobody wanted it at 9,500, the blue dial Yachtmaster 40. But the point is, nobody wanted these watches, so you're able to get a good price. And they went to something, I think they went to like 20 grand. I think this watch went to like 20 grand. Did I sell it? No, I didn't sell it. And you guys see, I made a video that's out there that I did a couple of years ago when the price was 17 grand. I could have sold this for probably 16. But why would I? I mean, what am I going to time the market with this watch? But here's the other problem. At that time, there was hype and everything, so everything was overinflated. And if I sold that, see, I don't like to sell. I want to trade it in, right? So I mean, look, if I would have gotten anything else, I would have again locked into a loss. I mean, there were some things that probably, which there's always something out there. But look, bottom line is you can't overpay for these watches. You got to buy them when they're out of favor. So again, you got to buy them when they're nobody likes them, when it was 12 grand, and when everybody is going crazy when they're 20 grand. That's not the time to buy them, right? And that takes me to really the concept of, again, if you buy modern watches, the stuff that's current production, it used to be that you could always get a discount, and you still can get a discount. Sometimes a pretty significant discount on a lot of watches. Well, and by the way, that's coming back. That's going to come back for Rolex. It's going to come back for a lot of these guys. Definitely in the gray market, we're going to see more of it. Those things are going to happen. But what do I mean the right price? The right price really means, and I know it takes me a while to get to the point. What do I mean by the right price? The right price really means, what it really means is you got to pay a price that if you need to sell the watch, a week from now, a month from now, you're not going to take a hit of more than, let's call it, 5%. You almost have to buy with a built-in profit, right? And there's opportunities like that. There are opportunities like that out there. So you gotta find the right example. Of course, we're talking apples to apples. Like you can't expect to buy a modern Patek Philippe, without box and papers, like Archie Luxury did. Again, it was your cardinal sin. You don't buy a modern Patek, meaning anything made after 2005, without box papers. For Patek, specifically Patek. Rolex, you could be okay, whatever. People will complain, but for Patek Philippe, it's a cardinal sin. Yeah, especially with what looked like a machete chip on the crystal. I mean, we make jokes and all, but hey, I don't know. Yeah, you gotta compare apples to apples. You gotta get something where you're buying it at the right price, meaning that if you buy it today, you sell tomorrow, you're not gonna take a hit of more than 5%. And ideally, you want something which is where the trend, where it's not hot right now. And by the way, that takes discipline or it takes advanced taste, right? So, for example, look, I actually have a pretty good sense of certain trends, right? Where certain trends in style, fashion, whatever. I have an understanding of when a certain watch, a certain type of look is going to come into fashion. And again, watches ultimately are fashion at the end of the day. It's 100% fashion, right? That's really what it is. Unbelievable but true, right? So, I was talking about the Ellipse, right? The time to be buying the Patek Philippe Ellipse was, 2, 3, 5 years ago. When I was buying them, right? Actually, I bought my first one maybe, was it 6 years ago? 7 years ago? I don't know, 6, 7 years ago. And I bought another one a year ago. The prices had gone up on it, but that model was still not in vogue. Now it's coming back. It's definitely heating up. We're seeing auction results heating up for that particular look. But you got to buy things which are currently, out of favor. So that means, neo-vintage stuff, for example, that, again, these trends, they go back and forth, right? So, like, I would say, the 70s stuff has been making a comeback, so I can't use that as an example. Although there's still certain things which still have room to go. But the 70s stuff, the kind of that type of look, the shaped cases, again, shaped cases, nobody was buying the shaped cases a couple of years back, and today all of a sudden, with Cartier, everybody wants shaped cases. That's why the Ellipse market is going up, right? Same thing with two-tone. But again, two-tone is... it's for the connoisseur. It's not for everybody. Two-tone has always been divisive. So let's not... that's actually a bad example. But, you don't want to be chasing these trends. You don't want to be buying things that are like, above retail, paying premium for watches. Because, those premiums are going to collapse very, very shortly for most of these watches. I would say for 99% of watches, very, very shortly. I mean, the days of big premiums are disappearing. I think for Royal Oaks, for the AP Royal Oaks, they might still exist for a little while, especially for the hot models. But I think it's dissipating for sure for Rolex. For Rolex, I mean, there is no reason to be paying a premium for any Rolex, and I mean any Rolex, because it's just a mass production watch. So don't get caught up in this hype. Don't be a tomato can. My goal is to find, if I'm looking for a watch, right? I'm looking kind of for the lowest price. For example, you might look, let's say Chrono 24 is kind of a source that everybody looks at, right? It's a source everybody looks at. So I'm looking for that watch, apples to apples, lowest price in the country, right? And 10% below that, because usually these guys mark it up at, a pretty decent amount. So that's what I think is generally the price you want to be paying for that watch, right? The only thing is when it comes to vintage is you got to be, the rule kind of has more flexibility, because with vintage, especially we're talking vintage stuff. We're not talking about stuff that's discontinued in the last 10 years. By vintage, I mean stuff, 30 years old, right? We're talking about stuff from, the 80s, the 70s, 60s, stuff like that. When it comes to that, you're not going to have, a lot of times, because the actual production numbers are actually pretty low for a lot of brands outside of Rolex, right? So if you see a watch, there's a very good chance you're not going to see another example. So if you see a Patek, a certain type of ellipse, not like the basic blue gold, not the basic one, right? But you see like certain funky shaped ellipses, there's a good chance you may not come across another one forever. That's happened to me. I remember there was a watch I was interested in, and you know what? There was one out there. It was in Korea, of all places. And I remember seeing that watch 6 years ago. Never seen another one like it again. And I can say that about a few watches. So Patek didn't make watches in big numbers. Same thing with AP. So that's why sometimes, if you see something, you try to negotiate for it, right? But you also have to realize it is almost a one-of-a-kind thing. You're not going to, if you snooze, you may not get another one. And, the condition, because again, the vintage watches, there's a couple of factors. One is that model, right? That model may not exist in that particular configuration here with that dial color or whatever. And in that condition. Again, condition is a big deal, right? We're talking about watches from, 30, 40 years, right? 30, 40 years. A lot of these watches from that cohort may have disappeared, or they've gotten banged up or whatever. So if you see a really good condition watch, you just have to go for it. Sometimes there's compromises. There's a lot of compromises with these things sometimes, it is what it is. But the price is very important. Again, the idea is you want to have a collection which is going to increase in value above, at a rate above inflation. So we're talking at, when you're buying a watch, you want something which, if you buy it, it's got to be able to increase at least 5% compounded for the next 5 years, which, by the way, is a high bar. It's not a low bar. You think about it, 5% compounded for 5 years is how much? We got any math people here? I think if you compounded 10%, 10 grand at 5%, 5 years, that's like 12,500, I believe. Is it 12,000? I think it's like 12,500, 13,000. Right? We're talking about for watches, it's I don't know, it's a it's a sizable increase. But that's the minimum number. That's the benchmark that you need to aim for. Otherwise, you're basically spending money, right? When I look at watches, I think of it as an investment, not as spending. When I buy a watch, to me, it's something that is going to, hold its value, increase in value. Sometimes I bought watches, one or two watches, I should say, which, I knew that I wasn't going to make money on them. There was a slight possibility, but I felt, okay, I'm not going to lose, right? Like, I actually, interestingly enough, the two-tone watches. So when I got this, I with Rolex Yachtmaster two-tone, I would basically, even today, I'd be basically lucky to get my money back. I think in a couple of years, it might be worth, 12.5 grand, whatever, 13 grand. So, maybe I'll make money with it. But, the trade-off is that, it's a real everyday beater watch. It's a watch I'm wearing all the time. And when I say beater, look, I want a watch that actually kind of looks good, that it's versatile, right? It's got to be versatile. I don't need to have 20 separate watches. I want to have one watch that can do multiple things. This watch I can, wear it with a suit. I can wear it while I'm hiking, because you can, because of the gold, because of the chocolate and the gold, it has, a little more of a gravitas, a little more, it's a little more polished. than, for example, a Rolex Explorer, which is just a very basic tool watch, which I think you should not be wearing with a dress shirt. I don't think you should be wearing a dress shirt, a tool watch with a dress shirt, unless it's like a very unique vintage watch, which is very valuable. So that way, there's a reason. Otherwise, you gotta have something which is a little bit more dressy. We're talking obviously with a dress shirt. I know a lot of you slobs probably, you're wearing your baseball cap and your t-shirt, your flip-flops, and that is, that's how you dress up, and that's fine. Absolutely fine. But just don't impose your sloppiness on the rest of us, right? Just because you have no taste and you're a slob, don't impose your rules on the rest of us, right? Look, just because somebody likes to dress well doesn't mean that they think they're better than you. I mean, they probably are better than you, but they're not doing it to try to insult you or anything. They're doing it actually for themselves. They're doing actually a service to society. They're doing a service for society because, when you walk around with your flip-flops and your baseball cap and your cargo shorts, in public, like you go to restaurants like that, I mean, it's kind of the moral decay of society starts. So yeah, so I'm talking about like this, right? You can't do this. Like you can't wear like these types of cargo shorts, camo with. See, this is not the look you should be wearing to just around town. I mean, of course I am here. I have an excuse. That's my excuse. But I know this is the thing. I know a lot of guys think this is appropriate to wear to business meetings, etc. Because they think they're being authentic. No, you're not being authentic. You're just being a slob. Okay, gentlemen. Let me know what you think. Leave your nasty and vicious comments below. And by the way, make sure you get access to our free weekly newsletter. That's right. Make sure you get access to the Colonel's free weekly newsletter. What's in the weekly newsletter, you may ask? What's in the weekly newsletter, you want to know? Well, we got prices. That's right. We got prices. We got the latest prices because you don't want to get ripped off. You don't want to be a tomato can. You don't want to be a tomato can ripped off. You want to make sure you get the right watch at the right price, right? You want to get the right watch at the right price. Okay. No damage. Oh, wait, hang on a second. I gotta dust this. Here's a trick you do. This is what you gotta do to get the dust off. Unbelievable, but true. Unbelievable, but true. Let me know what you think. Leave your comments below. Make sure you get access to our free weekly newsletter.